Carina Felina is a delightful story about a cat whose appetite is way out of control, and how even the smallest of us can make a big difference. Welcome to the Kids Bookshelf. I'm Dan Skinner. Ahead, we'll sample the book and talk with the author about the inspiration behind it. I requested and was provided with a copy of the book, but this video is not sponsored. Carmen Agra Deedy is an internationally known storyteller and the author of 15 books for children. Her award-winning books include The Rooster Who Would Not Be Quiet, Martina the Beautiful Cockroach, and her New York Times bestseller, 14 Cows for America. She joins us to talk about Carina Felina. Carmen, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you. I feel welcomed. We had a little pre-program chat, and that was lovely. I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's good to have you here. I understand that Carina Felina is based on a folktale. So tell us about the inspiration for this book.
My father told me a version of this international story. It's a folktale that is told in India and Denmark and around the world. His version to me was very lively. And of course, he was my papa. But the one that I most closely followed for this book was the one from India, from the Arbuthnot Anthology of Children's Literature. Did that put you to sleep? It's a wonderful collection, though. It's a great old collection of folk tales and fairy tales. And it's just a marvelous cumulative story, like the house that Jack built. This is the house that Jack built. Oh, this is the woman. That was the woman who swallowed a fly. There's another one. And those frames were meant to help children exercise their memory. So they were devices. And I love it because it has several wonderful lessons. And you can ask me about those if you want.
And I will. Your version of the folktale is Carina Felina. Tell us about the story that readers will find here.
I don't want to give away any spoilers, but it begins with a parrot who falls passionately, madly, beak over claws, in love with meow, un gato, una gatita, a cat. And when you say that with the opening sentence, the children, almost because the children have the sense they were born with, and they'll say, that's a bad idea, or no. And it is a terrible idea. But these stories were meant to teach us things. And every one of us at some point in our life, being a parrot, one of us, all of us have invited a cat to dinner. Everyone has done this, has made a really unwise choice about who they brought into their business, their personal life, their community, and then went, maybe not the best idea, but too late, you're now inside its belly. So that's one lesson, I think, although it's not a didactic book and it's not meant to be. But children need roadmaps in life. And I think that's what stories are meant to give them. The other one, and probably my favorite, is that sometimes very small things are the most creative because they have to be, and are the most wily, as it were. And so the two characters who sort of become the heroes at the end are the least likely.
So I guess the message for kids is don't worry that you're small or think you're not powerful. You can still make a difference in the world. An enormous difference. Some of the greatest heroes. I was just reading about Virginia Hall the other day, who had a wooden leg and became one of the most powerful and notorious World War II spies. She worked for the Allies. She had a wooden leg. She crossed the Alps with a wooden leg trying to escape the Nazis, and made it, by the way. So I love those stories, and children love those stories. Why? Because among humans, children, and the elderly and weak, but particularly children, are the most powerless. They don't decide when they eat, when they go to sleep, what they wear, what they can say. And so when they see a small character using their brain, figuring out, being clever, figuring things out so that they win. So they win. So for what age would you recommend this book?
This is 6 to 8-ish, right in there. You could read it to younger children as well, but you'd want to explain things.
Stay tuned in just a moment. Carmen Agra Deedy will read a portion of Carina Felina for us and share her thoughts about helping the child in your life learn how to read. And if you'd like to see more videos about children's books and their authors, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and click on the bell to be notified about future programs. And thank you. Carmen, can you read a small portion of Carina Felina for us to give folks a taste of what they're going to find here?
Carina Felina. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Henry Cole, the illustrator, who did a wonderful job and made these bold, bright, fun illustrations. Here we go. The trouble started when Pepe the Parrot fell in love with a cat. And that, as I said, is where the children would usually react. Certain that her cattish heart was through her stomach, Pepe invited her to his house for dinner. And now the children would begin to shout, "No, don't do it!" He baked 100 Cuban crackers. He brewed a pot of coffee. He dabbed cologne under his beak. Heart aflutter, he waited for his beloved to arrive. It happened so swiftly that a dumbfounded Pepe could only watch in horror. His guest catapulted herself through the window and onto the table, where she devoured 99 of those 100 crackers. "Only one left for me," Pepe squawked. "Who do you think you are, eh? Bark! Well, cat got your tongue." The cat shoved the last cracker into her mouth and sputtered, "I'm Carina Felina. I do what I like. I eat what I wish. Step out of my way, or be my next dish."
In this book, you use some Spanish words as a way of helping kids who aren't familiar with the language to learn some new things. And since it's set in Havana, you're also giving them a glimpse into a different culture, which is an expression of your own heritage.
Well, I love sharing my native tongue. And we did it very judiciously. There are only certain places we use the Spanish words. We have pronunciations in the back to help the teachers. Though I would tell parents and teachers, go ahead and look at the pronunciation if you'd like. But it's wonderful when you mispronounce. And Spanish-speaking children get to say, "No, señora," or "señor, it's not like that. I will tell you." It's wonderful. So I feel like it aids both the second language speaker and the native speaker of Spanish. One is introduced to words that maybe they're not familiar with. The other gets a chance to be, a little bit of a hero, linguistically speaking.
You've written a lot of books for children. What is it about writing for this age group that appeals to you?
Well, I'm a self-actualized adult. So just that said, for better or worse, and I do believe it's for better, I've always been able to maintain a part of myself that kept the sensibilities of childhood. And I am a grandmother, but I also visit between 100 and 125 schools a year. I'm around kids all the time. And you either like them or you don't. That's what I think. If you don't like them, please go to Nome, Alaska and work in a lab with a petri dish, with something subdividing under a microscope. But if you like them, you like all of them. You like the rotten ones. You love the really adorable, sweet ones. Even the ones I tell a story like, "I hate that story." Okay, fine. We'll do another one. Let's see if that one suits you. If they are undamaged, children are some of the most honest creatures. They'll tell you. And where in life do we find that anymore? So, but they do need, as I said, they need a map of the world. They're born with this big blank sort of piece of paper, and beyond this point, there be dragons. And the adults in their lives are the ones who fill things in. You see, their experiences inform them. And sometimes they make bad choices because nobody said, "Look, you don't have to go over the mountain. There's a bridge right here. And you can take it over the river, and you can go around the mountain, or there's a tunnel." We're here to teach. They're here to learn. What are we going to teach them? And I love folk tales in particular because the good ones are not heavy-hitting, but they are places where we can learn how to be good to one another.
Often an adult will read a picture book to a child, but at some point the child will be old enough to begin learning how to read themselves. So what advice do you have for helping a child to learn to read, or if that child seems reluctant about learning to read?
Read aloud to them. Read aloud. Nothing encourage. I'm dyslexic. I didn't discover that I had dyslexia until I was 28. I'm going to be 63 in September. So through half my life, I did not know that I had this disability. I just knew I didn't hear words clearly, which made it difficult then to sound them out, especially things like, diphthongs. And so when they hear the words, several things happen. I can do this really quickly. One is they're hearing pronunciation, which is really useful. It also helps when you're reading, especially with early readers, emerging readers, to keep your finger under the word as you read. And you say it. So you're saying it. Enough. Well, they're going to see E-N-O-U-G. What? But they're going to hear enough. Besides pronunciation, that's the least of it, but that is something. They're also hearing the tone and timbre of how we speak. And then the dog went into the woods. Don't be afraid to be a little dramatic. Where else can you do this but with children in a good book? Don't be afraid to use voices. That shows how playful language can be. Bum, bum, bum went the bear. You don't have to use great voices. Said the witch. You can indulge your inner thespian. And of course, to me, that one of the most wonderful benefits is that it's time spent with a child. I have all the devices. I use all the technology. That this is not, I'm not a Luddite, but we are social animals and we are carbon-based life forms. So far, AI notwithstanding, we're not cyborgs yet. We need these moments of human connection, and especially when we're children. Our brain needs them neurologically, and our hearts need them, and our children's hearts need them. In fact, there's something within publishing that literally called a lap book. A lap book is usually more horizontal than it is vertical, or it's very large, and it's meant to open to cover 2 laps, to encourage reading side by side.
Well, I just learned something new. I didn't know that about lap books. This picture book is Carina Felina by Carmen Agra Deedy and illustrated by Henry Kolb. Carmen, thank you for talking with me today.
Oh, you were a delight and so patient. I probably shared more than you wanted or needed, but it's a topic I'm really passionate about, story and folk tales, and you've been very gracious to indulge me and to have me here as your visitor, as your guest.
If you'd like to get a copy of Carina Felina, I've placed a link for you in the description below. Well, thank you for watching this edition of the Kids Bookshelf. And if you'd like to see more videos about children's books and their authors, be sure to like, subscribe, and click on the bell to be notified about future programs. I'm Dan Skinner. Until next time, keep sharing the gift of reading.